Hi, everybody. I want to talk today just a little bit about our Chapter 12 assignment and just the challenges that we're facing today as far as diversity and poverty and how that's impacting maybe what we're doing as a school system. So, um, I can tell you as an educator, after taking the time to, look through the chapter and read the information and looking online and reading through some interviews, I certainly, it certainly isn't a comfortable feeling as an educator knowing that we impact so many students. And I know that I'm a firm believer in we'll take these kids, whatever cards they've been dealt, whatever situation that they're in, and then while they're at school, we're going to do everything we can to increase their learning and make them productive citizens. Um, but it's hard. It's hard because we all know we have kids that walk through our doors every day that their home life is um, a struggle. Parents are either not employed or the jobs that they have are providing them at a point to be just above that poverty line, and it makes it difficult. Um, it makes life difficult, I guess. I think that, you know, it's a bigger problem. Poverty in America right now is a big problem, and I think it's bigger than um, a policy written or more money thrown at schools. I think it's bigger than that. And I think until we can solve the poverty issue in America, there's all these other things we have to deal with. And I think schools do their best to provide assistance to families. Um, I think about our own district. We have a high population of students on free and reduced lunch. So we know that when those kids walk through our doors, we can provide them 2 meals a day. Um, we also have a backpack program. So there are families that local churches and organizations in our area um, send meals home for the weekend so that those kids that maybe don't have a parent at home to provide something for food. There's food that's easy to prepare, it can all be put in a microwave. That students, if they needed to kind of be self sufficient, there would be food in the house to eat over the weekend. Our school also does some adopting of families over Christmas, and we try and provide clothing and boots and coats and all those sorts of things. Not so much toys and gadgets, but day-to-day things that they don't always have. A new pair of shoes and gloves to keep their hands warm, that sort of thing. Um, we also provide some dental exams for our kiddos. Um, Dental care is something that we noticed in our own school population that's lacking, and so we've reached out to some area dentists, and they provide some services for some of our kids. And so I feel like, yes, as a public school, we're trying to piece some things together to help our families out, but I really feel like it's not so much you belong to this race or this minority group or whatever. I feel like it's poverty in America that needs to be fixed, and we need to provide some assistance for that. You know, I work in a small community, and oftentimes we know firsthand exactly what that living situation is like. Because we're a small school in a small community, it's easy to reach out to people and offer help and offer assistance because they're our neighbors and we can reach out to them, and that's important to us. But I can understand how in um, an urban area, that's a more difficult task. I haven't always taught in this district. I taught in Lincoln Public Schools for a while, and I taught in a school system that it was a challenge. That socioeconomic level in that area of town was lower. And at the time, I mean, that's been 15 years ago that I taught there. Um, at the time, and that also was my first teaching experience, was in a building like that where so many kids came, Um, they hadn't been fed single parent homes where parents were struggling. So we had a lot of these same programs going on in Lincoln. But what I did notice was that the neighborhood since then has had kind of a facelift. There's more businesses in the area. There's a youth center in the area. They've put street lights up. They've done all sorts of things to better the neighborhood. And I think when you do that in areas, it increases maybe everybody's pride and self worth, motivation. And so I, it's programs like that we also need here, not just things that the school can provide, but things that cities can provide to promote growth in that community and start to turn things around. I know that the government's tried to do some of those things with health care and more money to some of our lower achieving school districts, but it's not so much about maybe throwing money around, but we have to really dig deep and get to the root of the problem. And I'm not sure that we've been able to do that yet. I think about a situation like Hurricane Katrina and the poverty in New Orleans. And I think, being someone who has grown up in the Midwest, I still live in the Midwest, I don't realize what it's like other places. My own children don't realize what it's like other places. So a situation like Hurricane Katrina where there's cameras that went in and we were able to see firsthand what it's like there, I think raises everybody's awareness of, we do need to make some changes. We do need to see what we can do to raise awareness to help people in that situation, because I really believe that it's about helping those people in poverty not be in poverty anymore. And so, it's kind of disheartening as an educator, I think, to know that we want to do everything we can for kids, and sometimes there's just situations that are beyond our control. But that doesn't make me want to do anything different as a profession. It doesn't make me treat my children at school any differently. I just know that I have to keep it in the forefront of my head that kids are coming to school with all sorts of baggage, and that we need to really focus in on helping them with all these other outside programs, backpack program, free and reduced lunch. But also a big part of our responsibility is to close that achievement gap with those kids that come in. We kind of like to call them the under-resourced kids. They haven't had the experiences or the home support. And so our district right now, Ruby Payne has been around for a long time, and I've had the pleasure to attend some of her sessions and trainings by some of her trainers. And so our district is going to start into, it's called research-based strategies, narrowing the achievement gap for under-resourced students. And I think it's going to provide us some quick ways, specific lessons and strategies to use with our kids that come to school not having all those resources, because they've been dealt a more difficult hand of, they're growing up in poverty, they belong to a minority group, they come from a single parent household where it's tough to make ends meet. But we want to make sure that we're focusing in on how to close that achievement gap with kids. And so I'm really excited to start this with our staff. I've had a chance to look through some of the activities, and they're really quick. Here's how to assist kids writing a research paper that helps prepare them. So there's, like I said, just lots of little strategies that are quick. So if you're looking for something to use with your staff, I think this would be a great place to start. And like I said, I absolutely just love Ruby Payne. So anyway, thanks for listening, and I'm anxious to hear what everybody else is thinking.